Welcome to another episode of the Rainbow Pharmacist, and we're here with an amazing human being. And God, what a list of achievements that you've had, Anjelo Ratnachandra. I got to do it again.
You've got to put that in.
Welcome to another episode of the Rainbow Pharmacist, and we're here with an amazing human being, Anjelo Ratnachandra. He's a physiotherapist, awarded Australia's #1 physiotherapist last year in the Allied Health Awards. He's a counsellor, he's an instructor in ancient Himalayan yoga, I can't even pronounce it, author of this amazing book called Beyond Pain, and you've been developing programs in persistent pain, chronic fatigue and mental health, and innovating in this area, and then also taking care of many, many patients and having great outcomes. So welcome to the Rainbow Pharmacist.
Thank you.
Anjelo, I wanted to ask you about your mantra, and you have your 3 Ps, purpose, passion and practice, and sort of where that came from and what does it mean for you?
Yeah, look, the purpose, passion and practice is important. I think for me that's a humanizing element as opposed to having just goals. I think the purpose is about having a sense of goals and what you want to achieve. The passion is important because you need to do stuff you're passionate about, not just stuff you feel you have to do. Because when you do stuff you're passionate about, you're never chasing your tail. So whether it's work or home life, there's got to be an element of passion involved. And then the practice is around putting in place good practices that's going to work for you to help you achieve your purpose and what you've designed or developed your purpose to be. So that's where the purpose, passion, practice.
Beautiful. And did that come out of your own sort of personal journey?
Yeah, for me it did.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. It sort of highlights how I try and live myself. So I always have a sense of purpose in what I do, whether it's personally or in professional forums. And certainly then I try to align that purpose with a sense of passion. So, working with people with chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic fatigue and mental health, and often people who are told there's nothing else they can do, that sort of drives me to help them. So I'd never really and often people ask me, don't you get burnt out working in this cohort? And I don't. I actually really enjoy it. And then it's just about putting in place good practices for myself so I don't get burnt out, but also so I could walk the talk, essentially.
And I want to speak about your book because it's not just designed for patients with persistent pain, but also people who practice in this area. Yep. And I remember reading the book when I've started practicing in this area, and you talk about when you were a physiotherapist and you were just starting out and you saw these people with chronic pain and they would come to you and their pain would be a little bit relieved and then they'd come back to you and there was sort of no improvement, and that sort of frustration, or that you almost feel deflated. And it's definitely something that I've felt, and I even got emailed about from another pharmacist.
Absolutely,
So I think for me, my sort of learning curve was working with patients with persistent pain for a long time, and then also having a personal experience with that. And that's definitely something that happened with you in your book as well, where you were a victim of a petrol bomb. And now live with persistent pain.
The scars are there. Yeah. So I think if you have persistent pain, I think you are able to empathize at a different level. Not to say that the practitioners, you don't have to have chronic pain or persistent pain to be a good practitioner. Absolutely not. But I for myself feel that I'm able to connect with my clients a bit better. But yeah, through that journey, the book is designed not just for people with chronic pain, but also other health practitioners to understand the type of language we need to use, the real nuts and bolts of it, the hacks of chronic pain, essentially, to recognise, don't get too caught up in the diagnosis. At the end of the day, we need to use the same principles and just give a supportive environment. So, and that's what the book tries to show through my own personal journey and telling my story through the ups and downs and the rehab that I had and what I found helpful and not, but also then coming up with the strategies that I found most helpful to help me manage my symptoms.
And I've been lucky enough to attend some of your workshops, like Empowering Conversation, and you're doing Understanding Pain tomorrow.
Yep.
That one of the things that stuck with me from your workshop was you talk about the struggle and pain.
Yep.
And I wanted you to sort of speak on that for our viewers to understand what the struggle and pain is all about.
Sometimes for people, you say, what's your biggest problem? You say, oh, it's the pain. And so really that shows to me that the pain is actually consuming them. So they can't see their future because the pain is right here in front of them. But when you actually separate it out and talk to them about, well, what is it about the pain? It's the fact that they can't play with their kids, or they can't go to work, or they can't do the things they enjoy. So that to me is the struggle. And I try and explain to my patients that there's a difference between pain and the struggle. And if you can address this, and if I ask them, if you can get you back doing things, are you really going to care too much about the pain? And the answer is often no. If I can do everything I want to do, I don't really care if the pain's there or not. So I think it's important to separate that, because once you separate that, then you don't give the pain the power that it has at the moment. So then all of a sudden you're taking control of the pain and control of your life. So I think for me, in terms of developing a rehab program, we need to look at the struggle. We need to talk to that person, understand what they're what they're struggling with, and then try and address that. Because pain essentially is like having asthma or diabetes. It's a chronic condition, but people with asthma and diabetes got good asthma management plan, good diabetic plan, and they live essentially a normal life. And I think the people who got chronic pain, who live a normal life and don't rely on the healthcare, does exactly that. They've separated the pain from the struggle. And therefore they've addressed their struggle, and therefore the pain, yes, they'll get flare-ups every so often, and they might get a setback every so often, but for most of it, they're able to live a relatively normal life. Yeah.
And this might be a bit of a personal question, feel free, we don't have to answer this, but what for you would be sort of your struggle, or what was the thing that was the most difficult for you to overcome within your sort of journey?
Yeah, my own expectations, about what I wanted to achieve, and the fact that, I can't do a lot of hands-on physio, and that evolved over time to say, well, I don't really need to, do I? I can still influence change, because at the end of the day, why was I doing physio? To help people. Now, I don't have to do hands-on to help people. I now know that. So it really is around understanding that and being able to see that there are other ways. There's other paths that you could take and still achieve the same outcome. Yeah. So that's going back to that purpose. What was my purpose? Not to do hands-on physio to help people. It was just to help people. And the practice is different from hands-on to now doing educational stuff, pain management stuff, fatigue management stuff. So, and I'm still achieving my purpose. So yeah, from my personal journey, that's what I sort of learned, that we can adapt and we can find different ways. And that's why my saying or my caption on my website is Beyond Pain, there is a way. Yeah. Because we can find a way.
Yeah, definitely.